you go to pinetools.com, or the link that's on the website, or the link in the Google document is actually this one, pinetools.com/change-image-saturation. We can remove the color. So I'm going to say choose the file, get my image, I'll grab this one, and then I'm going to take the slider and pull it all the way down to the bottom and hit execute down here in the green button. That takes all the color out of it. We'll click here and save as a JPEG. And on my screen it came up in preview on the Mac, but what you could do then is if you take this image, it's going to go to downloads. If you're working on a Chromebook, it's going to go to downloads, and you could take that image and put it into a Google document. So here's one. Actually, I'll go here. Here's a Google document. I'll take him out. Then I'm going to go to insert an image, upload from the computer, go to downloads. What I usually do is go to the little tab here that has the lines, so I can say sort by date modified. Today's date. Here's the image, so I'm going to open that up. So there's the desaturated image. Desaturated means that all the color has been removed. If you do saturation, it would make the colors even more intense. Then I'm going to select the document and then right click on it and go down to image options. And it might look like this. I'm going to go to size and rotation, make sure that lock aspect ratio is on, and then we have to put this on a 5:7 panel. So depending on the shape of your image, like this one is square, so I would have to go down to 5. And that just means that we would probably land this on the scratchboard panel, and there would be some, it's 5 inches tall, that's going to fit, but we're going to have extra space on the right side and left side, because the panel is going to be 5, that'll match the height, but its width is 7. So we can either center this, or we could have the panel come out further on this side or on this side, or we could move it around in that space. But the panel is 5:7. This one's 5:5. Actually, let me get a different size image. Try it that way. So let's see. Go back to my Pinetools here. I'm actually just sticking an image in. This is pretty easy. You just choose the file, put it in, bring the saturation all the way down to the bottom, and hit execute, and then save it as a JPEG, and that'll send it to downloads. Let's see, if I got another image, I'll say insert another image from the computer, or it could come from Drive also, if that's where it was stored. Let's see if I can get a different shape image here. Okay, so if I put him in, insert this image, same thing, we'd right click on it, we go down and go to image options, we get image options showing up over here. And you want to always put lock aspect ratio on, because otherwise it would warp the image. And so this one's 7.5 by 5. But if we want to use the whole image, if I use this, I would lose some image on the side, because for the 5:7 panel to fit, the height already fits, that's 5, but it's longer than 7, so that means that we would have to put it on the panel and we'd lose some space. Or we could change this to 7, and now it's 7 inches wide. That'll fit perfectly. The height is less than 5, that just means the panel would stick up above it, either above it or below it, and we'd have to either add more drawing or add more black and fake that in. If it came in, let's say it was some other number here. Let's say it came in like this. So I would check this out. I'd go, okay, this comes in. If it came in like this and it's some odd number, we could say, let's see what happens if I make the width 7. I go, oh, 7's going to fit, and if this number is less than 5, it's going to fit on the panel and just give us excess. If I went to height and I changed that to 5, now I'd say, oh, the height is going to fit, but the width is more than 7, so that means that the board would only come to 7 inches. So it might go, we could say, maybe we'd line it up and the image would only go from here to here, or it could go from the edge to here. That would be losing almost about a ½ an inch. So I think the best thing to do is, in general, I would say maybe the best thing to do is probably bring this down to 7. And so it's going to fit perfectly across the 7 inches, and the height, this image is not quite 5, which means that we would add on extra black, or there would be more black of the panel showing. Right? And so of course this one hasn't been desaturated, so we'd have to go to the Pine Tools website, we'd change the saturation down to 0, save it, and then we'd upload it to this, and then you guys at home could print it out. The other thing you could do, if you end up with this image from Pine Tools, we can also go back there and change its contrast and brightness. So if it's not bright enough, because those Pine Tools tools are really, they're really mimicking or imitating Photoshop. And since you guys don't at home don't have Photoshop easily accessible on your Chromebooks, this is probably the way to do it. So let me try that. So let's say I did the desaturation on this. I'm going to go back to Pine Tools. I'm going to go over here and say probably change contrast. Choose the file. Go to downloads because that's where my desaturated image ended up. That's that, and we'll open that up. So there's the desaturated image, and now probably what I'll have to do is I'll says contrast is 50. I'll say execute, see what it does. Yeah, that would be a better image for the Scratchboard project because the darks are more intense and the lights are more intense. And the good thing with this is it's hard to tell how these are going to print on any particular printer. So I might save this as a JPEG. There's that. And then mine's popping up here in preview. And then I could even do this. What if I make it more contrasty? Because I find that printers tend to print out a little lower contrast. So I'm going to bring this up a ways and hit execute. That's even more intense. I could save that one. And then there's that one. And again, this may look really bright here, but it may, when I printed at school, I got duller prints, and so I had to go back and increase contrast. And I'm going to even, it's probably going to be too much now, but I'll pull this up again. Try that, and then I'll hit the JPEG. So I would do this, and it's so easy to do. You could save a couple copies of this, and I would tend to, I think I'd try to print the one here on the left first, and if it was too gray, I might print this one, because really for Scratchboard, you're going to go in, you're going to be opening up this white area slowly and gently, and it's just like the Sharpie project. There's no going backwards, or it's harder to go backwards. So you're going to go in and start to slowly open up light areas. An area like the nose, anything we know is 100% white we can open up completely, but it's better to do too little than too much. Okay, so that's the way to fake Photoshop at home. getting rid of the color by increasing or decreasing the saturation, and then using the Pine tools to change the contrast and changing the size in the Google Doc.